Are we good? Okay. Thank you guys for coming tonight. The process started. Really, the process is how do we get from where we are now to having teams for next summer and fall? I'm going to start off. Who's seen Star Wars? Of course, the most important thing is Christmas right now. Second most important thing, except for 49ers fans, I guess, there's probably a big game coming up. But Star Wars. Who saw Star Wars? Raise your hands. Who liked it? Who saw it and didn't like it? Okay, good. I'm not trying to bully or pressure you into saying that you actually did like it. I just don't understand how people can see it and not like it. What we're doing, so what Star Wars didn't do, and it's receiving flack for, where Marvel did do this, they had pre-screenings. So, and then they had input from folks on what worked, what didn't work, so that they can make changes. Star Wars didn't do that because they don't want to reveal any of their information. They want to keep it solid and tight without any information coming out. So then people go, oh, well, if there was a screening, then they would have changed, or the public would have changed a couple things about the movie. My beloved Star Wars, we're not going the Star Wars direction of keeping it all veiled and keeping you in the dark. We're going to go in the Marvel direction of this is the pre-screening. Like you guys have a view of what the next year is going to look like. Part of the purpose of it is to get feedback from you on what works and doesn't work for you. Now, if Star Wars did a pre-screening and if someone was like, well, you should take out lightsabers altogether, or you shouldn't have any spaceships or stuff like, obviously like that information is not going to fly. They're not going to make adjustments like that, but they can make more minor or micro adjustments. Same way with us. Your information, if you go, well, we should have all tournaments close to my house, and at this time it's like, well, we'd love to do that, but it's probably not realistic. So we'd love to have the feedback, but it has to be also realistic feedback. This first photo, cool photo. This is my team in Alaska last summer. I wanted to share it with you guys because otherwise you'd never know that Headfirst sent a team of high school graduates. They were seniors. They're off on college campuses now. This is in front of 1,200 people on opening night in a 6-game set that we had in Fairbanks, Alaska, where the weather is now, there are 4 hours of daylight right now, which is the good news is that there's some daylight. The bad news is it's the high during those 4 hours is negative 35. So different world that we got to go experience. Now in Alaska during that time is 20 hours of daylight, conversely with beautiful weather. Unbelievable experience. The significance, these guys are now on a college campus. So even though you guys are at a younger age, at freshmen and sophomores, the reality for me and for Headfirst is we want to get you to that point. Ideally in Alaska, not necessarily in Alaska, but where you're lined up, you look the part, you're big and strong, and you've had a successful high school career, that is now behind you, and now you're looking forward, you're in your senior summer with your friends, competing in the game you love, and looking forward to what's next, which is college baseball. In 2019, and again, this is the same slides apply to the juniors and seniors and the freshmen and sophomores. We're going to fly through a lot of it and then get to more questions in the end. In 2019, the reality for players in Headfirst is to play in college. Just last year, we had 30 plus players that went on to play in college, 15 of whom went to 4-year colleges out of high school. Another 15 plus guys went to junior college. So again, the reality for young players is as you make it to the top of our system, you go and play college baseball. Now, some schools you've never heard of. So some schools are not the most glamorous school in the world, in cities and places where you would not ever want to or ever think that you might end up, but they're college baseball players in those fields. Now, some of those schools are also high academics that you haven't heard of just because we're on the West Coast and we have a more West Coast-centric style perception of what college baseball is. But the reality is our guys are going to go on and play college baseball. This is our 2018 class. You can imagine that the 18 class and the 17 class and the years before that look similar. Our job is, and our goal is to try to get a new list every grad year. This is our list so far, including USF, Menlo, Yale, Long Beach State, Menlo. I just heard from the family, from Cody Bates' family today, that they just committed to Chico State. So this is something that's like in real time, like this is the goal. This is the reality of the organization that you're a part of. The 2019 review and recap. In last year, again, this is stuff just to capture the last year in a slide. We had a return of the 18U teams for graduated seniors. Prior to last year, there were a couple of years where we didn't have an 18U team or a team for graduated seniors. I coached that team for many years. I went back to the 13U and 14U level where I coached some of you guys in the last couple of years. I went back there to help build the middle division, and now I'm back running the senior class group and then the junior class group. So I brought back that team last year, and now we're going to have it going forward. Again, we had 15 plus college commits. The Berkvich 35 collegiate team went to Alaska to play. We had our alumni that were in college selected in the Major League draft and at the pro level. This last year seemed very significant. Like, we had high success. So not only were they at those levels and not only were they getting play time, but they killed it. Like, our alumni got after it in the last year. So that's exciting. Something else I want to just express to you guys. Each day during the week, some current pro players, they're here training before they go to spring training, and they come to the academy. A guy called me last week that's currently in college for a lesson. He was a catcher when he was your guys' age, didn't pitch all through high school, and now he's a college pitcher. At the same time, some of our coaches in the last week just went to lunch and breakfast with a bunch of their former players. The point is, and they're now in college, the point is it doesn't stop after high school. So the relationship with Head First and its players, it's ongoing. It doesn't even stop when baseball ends. The key for us is, now how many players, your goal is what in baseball? To make what's your ultimate goal in baseball? What's that? Major leagues, the major leagues. Next goal, okay, it didn't quite work out, but you made it to what level? College baseball, or even pro ball, but not the major leagues. Then college baseball. If not that, then junior college, or instead of you didn't make it to a 4-year, but you played junior college baseball, or maybe you had a good high school experience. And again, either way for us, we want to train you and equip you with the right information. Probably you're going to have families someday. Probably, statistically, many of you are going to have sons or daughters who play baseball because you love the game and you played. Probably you're going to be a coach of them, and you're going to know the right way because you've done training and lessons and all of this stuff. Like, you are getting your degree in baseball through your high school experiences in Head First, hands down, without a doubt. You can go and be a high school head coach without a doubt with the information that you would have, and you'll be a very good coach at any level, aside from your playing career. So again, I'm just painting a picture. It really doesn't stop with you guys going to high school. Last year we won 69. It's hard to win a tournament. And you guys know, has anybody never won a tournament here? My young pups, my 10U pups, won their first tournament. There were only 3 teams in it, 2 of which were ours. It rained out one day. Like, everything went perfect for them. And then we were down like 10-4 in the championship game. And it was like, darn it, this was our shot. And then we came back, and it was an exciting finish, and we won the tournament. And for them, it was like the 7th game of the World Series. Like, they were running around the field, and they were so excited. And they're 9 and 10, so they're this big and cute running around. But they got a tourney win. They got a shirt and a medal, and that could have been like winning the lottery for them. Point is, it's really hard to just win a tournament. Well, that one wasn't as hard. Well, it was hard for them, but it wasn't stacked against them. We won 69 last year to go with hundreds that we've won in the past. So there's a lot of success and a lot of history that we create a program and provide the information to you. The 18U show was the most successful team that we had last year, winning 3 of 5 tournament titles in the summer. We had 50 plus different college coaches attend Head First showcases and tryouts. We had 30 different colleges represented. Again, 50 different college coaches from 30 different schools. Some changes in 2020. Many of you guys helped make Head First better by providing insight. And again, we listen to the insight, and then we try to implement it and go, okay, this is good information of, we're hearing what they want or what they would want to be different. We want to create some changes. So Hirakabi is a new registration and payment process that my brother has created, or that my brother has subscribed to. My brother handles finance, so there's some slides I'm going to go over in a couple minutes that the rest of the Head First management team has provided me. So Hirakabi, I'll go over in a minute. In the past, we didn't have outdoor practices for the upper division, and really the main reason is that people really didn't go. A lot of times people didn't go, but we're hearing that people want it more, so we're going to try to create outdoor opportunities for practice in the fall as well as in the summer. We hired Jimmy Moyle to Head First Management, college advising as a Head First coach, and a lot more. Jimmy has coached at a whole bunch of different colleges. So hiring him full-time is huge, especially for me. So hiring him to take over a lot of my responsibilities. The creation of showcase training itself and the fact that we're doing it in January, we'll talk about that in a minute. The showcase training concept, also doing it in the spring, which George is going to be running, to fill a void at the high school level, also to complement what's being done in high school. Also the return of the Gamers program in the upper division, which Jimmy Moyle, after being hired, when he played and when he was coaching and with us originally, it was all about the Gamers. And he's like, where's the Gamers? Like, let's bring it back and let's bring it to prominence. The January Showcase training, probably most of the questions have revolved around January Showcase training. In the past, in the month of January, we had a practice a week in the upper division, which was indoors. All the fields are down. And then we had 2 tournaments a month. The tournaments would get rained out. It'd be freezing out there. It's good. It's yet another tournament, which you've had a million of and have a million more ahead of you, which is nothing wrong with. It's good. It's tournament baseball. We love it, and for better or for worse. But I look and I say, okay, we have these college showcase. A college showcase event is where you guys are in front of, we put our players in front of college coaches. What we notice a lot of the times is they're not ready. So they're on the right stage and they're the wrong actor. So I thought what we're relying on is our head first coaches that we currently have getting you ready for that stage, and or your high school coaches getting you ready. And it's not working. It hasn't been working because, again, the product that I see out there, I look and I go, it's not good enough. It's hard to be good enough. But you have to be both good enough as a baseball player and you have to be a good showcase player. So part of the training that we're going to do is getting you guys, is training you to be ready for college showcase. Do you think that gets you ready for high school tryouts? It gets you ready to stand out like a sore thumb, relative to being the type of player that a coach goes, I love that kid. I don't know if his ability matches up, or he's only this big, or he's not the right size or shape, or he throws it the wrong hand or something. We're looking for something else, but we have to make a spot for him. So it's trying to wrap you guys well. In general, players in high school and head first in tournament ball, do you notice that do players play hard? I don't think so. I think you guys would say yes, but when I look, I go, okay, if they play hard, what about that guy? And you go, yeah, okay, you got a point. Okay, watch how they get off the field. Are they playing hard? Okay, you got a point there. Okay, this guy hit a ground ball. He's trotting back to the dugout at best. Is that a trot or a jog or even a walk? It's more like a jog, maybe a trot. Is that playing hard? No. And then you start to have your eyes open to it. You're not responsible yet. Your coaches are responsible so far. So as you get coached up in an appropriate style of play that's appropriate for college showcasing, it more than gets you ready for high school. Then you have a choice. Do I want to stand out like a sore thumb for the right reasons to please my coaches and have my coaches fall in love with my style of play? But I'm playing too hard, it's going to cause a wedge between my friends. Because now they're being cool and not playing that hard, but I'm playing that hard. You have a decision to make. Our job is to give you the information and to train you and try to create that for you. So we feel like we can do more in terms of getting you guys ready to stand out. Just getting the information is not enough. You have to be able to implement the information, you have to practice it, you have to train with it. That's what our month of January is. So we're going to a couple college fields. So we're going to St. Mary's College. So you're on a Division I field, a lot of you guys, before you're in high school. So you're on St. Mary's, there's a Loney. Has anybody been to Laney College? Does anybody know where Laney is? Laney is a junior college in Oakland that is the Taj Mahal of a field. It's beautiful, and it has lights, and it has turf. So at that time of the year, we figure 2 of the 3 fields are turf fields. St. Mary's is not, and we have the St. Mary's one first, so we need it not to rain for a little while at that point. January is going to serve the dual purpose of us training you guys better, and also us evaluating you guys. So things change really quickly in baseball. So for some players, even over the course of a year, for a player to say, well, Mario, you see me, I've been in your organization for a year, can't you place me well? And I go, not even close. Like, even if I had all the information. So the first thing that I need is I need to know exactly who all the players are that I'm considering for placement on teams. Even if I had if the Lord appeared and said, Mario, you have all the numbers. There are 40 guys or 80 guys, whatever the number is. And I go, okay, the next thing I need to do is evaluate them again because things change. Things change even from the last tryout. I know from working with you guys individually, like some of your rate of improvement you have leaps in your game. So as you have a leap in your game, or sometimes guys fall off, the team placement is different. So that's in addition to the equity that you have with your coaches from the past. So if your coach says, no, he doesn't showcase well, but he's a stud player and he can do all of this stuff, we take that into account. But if we see that, if we get the information and look and go, no, the showcase training is going to reveal that. So, by the way, being a showcase player and a good baseball player, two different things. You can be a good baseball player and kind of over long periods of time, a coach likes you and you'd be evaluated well and you do well. In a showcase environment or a high school tryouts, how many days do you get in high school tryouts? How many days of tryouts?
3.
Technically, you get 3. According to the rules, according to the NCS rules, you get 3 days of tryouts. Some schools, you get none. And they go, we're not having tryouts, we've already decided. It's a violation. Some schools, they say, there's a player I had last year that said the whole month of January is a tryout. That's a violation. Like, you can't do that. It doesn't start until the Monday, it's the second week of February this year. You should get 3 days of tryouts. There are a lot of surprises that occur in tryouts. What if you have a bad tryout? What if you're not ready? What if your arm's sore? What if you're out of position? What if there's a million things you can plug in. If your goal is playing high school baseball, then we would prefer that you make the team. Do you need to be a good baseball player to make your high school team? No. Do you need to be a good showcase player? It depends on which high school you go to. But if you can go and show well in a short amount of time and get coaches to like you, then that's the magic. So again, that's what we're going to try to do as we're evaluating you guys for the purpose of team placement. In the past, 2 years ago, I had roster sizes of 14 on a team. And I had a huge dilemma. There wasn't enough players. We had to have 1 million guest players. People were missing all the time. 14 wasn't nearly enough. So a year ago, I had a great solution, which was simply adding a player to a team, which went to 15 instead of 14. But in the last year, I had the same dilemma. We don't have nearly enough players. I had a parent, so one of you guys sitting out there, not necessarily here tonight, who said, Mario, next year, can you put more players on the team? Because we want to have a team feel. But when players are missing so much and we have to get guest players to come in, we don't really have the team feel. And that was like a red flag to me. And I was like, forget that. I'm adding several to a team to make sure that we have a team feel and don't have to rely on guests. Well, I've calmed down since then. I'm not going to add any more to the team. So my big solution now is appealing to you guys to show up. Just as you commit to a team. Now, here's what happens. And I have some people who complain to me saying, these people on our team, they're uncommitted and they don't show up and blah, blah, blah. And I go, wait a minute, didn't you miss last weekend? Well, yeah, but that was for a good reason. I mean, we had, so it's like okay and that's how people think. It's okay for me to miss. I have valid and good reasons. But these other people, how can they do that? They're not committed. It's just the reality of it. The reality is everyone going to show up all the time? No. So if somebody says, I'm not going to miss, I'm all in for everything, and I'd go, you're going to miss. Just try to miss less and try to communicate it more on the front side. So again, we don't want to really adjust roster size at all or add to it. So our solution is trying to figure out how you can show up more. Playtime and opportunity. Again, really not a lot to go over with that now. I just put it there just to emphasize that for us, different coaches run it differently too. Head first, what we are asking our coaches to do is generally spread around opportunity, and you guys play yourselves in or out of positions. So how long does it take? At your age, it doesn't take a whole long time. If you make a couple errors, and there's one person who probably thinks you can keep playing that position all the time and it's going to work out, and that's your parent. But all the other parents don't, nor do the coaches. And they go, no, he's showing that you can't do it. Now, also though, in baseball, it takes time to develop. So if somebody's showing the right mannerisms and the right footwork and the right movements and all that, and they're making mistakes, then there's leniency given there. The point is, for us, we want to spread around opportunity. Our goal is to develop you guys and try to get you better and try to encourage you to love baseball more have a good experience and retain for you guys to come back the next year and come back better, bigger, stronger, and faster so that we can build something. The high school goal, some of you guys have been there, some of you haven't, rosters are probably how many? 20, for many schools it's 20, the base number would be like 18. Some are more, some are 20. One JV program last year had over 30 with like 10 pitcher onlys. That's the exception. But like, should you be fearful of that? Maybe. Should you be prepared for it? Absolutely. So high rosters, how many games a week? 2 games a week, 7-inning games. How many do they hit in order? So people go, oh, I'm used to a coach in travel, you can hit everybody, or you can hit 10 with an EH. If you're hardcore going for the win, you hit 9. In travel ball, in baseball, it's 9. So it's American League rules. No, there's re-entry. But you play, there's 9 to a lineup, you have 2 games a week, there's just not that much to go around. So playtime and opportunity through games, with high rosters, mathematically, you're probably not gonna get what you're looking for. I'm just telling you to adjust expectations. Unless now, as you go into tryouts, you're really not trying to make the team. Making the team is one thing, you're trying to make the starting lineup. So you're trying to not make the bottom 10 out of 20, you're trying to make the top 10. And then really you want to be in the top 5, so there's some security. Because if you're in the bottom 5 of that lineup, then you just get transferred out for the reserves that come in. So you're trying to make the top 5 in 3 days of high school tryouts. Really you're trying to do it in day 1. So coach can go, and I know from being a high school coach, and you go, these are easy. I don't even have to really watch that much anymore. These are easy, they're gonna get cut. It's this middle group that's curious. Like, what, now these guys are gonna be in these positions, I project these guys as the guys. Now I need some out of these, who am I gonna keep and who am I not, based on what positions they play, and then you start to sort it out like that. So you wanna not be in this group, you wanna be in this group. If you're in this group, how are you in the top half of that group? And that's the key. So, again, playtime and opportunity in high school, maybe. Hopefully you're in the top 5, you get plenty of playtime and opportunity. With us, we're going to spread it out, capitalize on it when you get it. We don't really have to talk about 18 and 17 in this group. We do have to talk about 16 and 15U. Well, I guess it's important for you to understand, the way that it goes, there's fewer teams as you get older. I'm running teams at the senior class and the junior class level. These are some of the coaching staff that are going to be included there. Then there are more teams as you go younger. So it becomes increasingly difficult to make the teams as you get older. George is running multiple teams in the 15 and 16 level. So the question, are we doing age level or are we doing grade level? The question is both. So for me, I'm doing grade level teams. These could be grade level teams or age level teams, or manipulated in different ways at different times. So Tim Harris he ran teams at 15 and 16U in the past. Again, Jimmy Moyle is new to this group. Bischoff Berger might end up coaching in the higher level. He might be here. Really, it starts with us knowing who's in. It starts with us knowing who's signed up and doing the Cure Cubby and registering either for January with the down payment for what's going forward, or for if someone's not doing January, we'll talk about that in a minute, then it's the first thing for us is who are the people we're considering. In high school, it's different. If you're at school X in Danville, there's 2 public schools in Danville, both of which have 3, a varsity, a JV, and a frosh team, with a lot of players to choose from. So they know they're gonna have 3 teams, just a matter of who's making those teams, and then it's a matter of who's in the lineup and who's not. For us, it's a little different. It's more of the chicken and the egg, where it's like, okay, how many teams we're having and who's coaching them, it depends on the players. Based on tryouts, based on the tryout process, this is what we have. Over the course of the spring, we average about 40 new players to the organization. So spring becomes a time where a lot of new people come in. So if we could go, our teams are set, done, and all of that right now, we would love to do that. It's not the reality. It's not your timing necessarily or ours. So right now, this is what it looks like on who's coaching these teams. As far as what the teams are, let's see. The Berkovich showcase teams, there might be a Berkovich showcase team and a Blackhawk showcase team that's relevant to this group. The Gamers would be at 17U. These would be 16U-ish teams. The fact that they'd be showcase teams means it includes the individual college showcase. The price is a little higher, and you're in a team showcase, and you're also in an individual showcase. Again, even though some people are in the sophomore class, by the time you are in the summer, you're a rising junior. It becomes more relevant to you. So right now, it's like, I'm just trying to make my high school team. I'm trying to figure things out as a sophomore. Then it shifts, and all the seniors are gone, and you are the second oldest at that point. So again, it happens faster than you think. And again, not to oversell or over talk about the college recruiting aspect, but that's the direction you guys are going in. So it's worth you understanding that if somebody were to say, well, I don't know if Head First really does that, it's important for me that you guys know on the front side that this is what we do. We're not having any show teams this year. Jimmy Moyle, so really, I end up kind of governing the teams that George and I are running. Jimmy Moyle's been hired to kind of do what I do in terms of evaluation, team placement, who's coaching what. Like, Jimmy's been hired to take over a lot of that, but in year one, it's too much. So the teams that George and I are running, which are multiple teams, a bunch of teams for both of us, that represents about half of the teams. So so it's easiest for me because I'm close with George to govern these, and then help Jimmy as he attempts to govern the teams that George and I are not running. College exposure, I'm gonna blow through this really quickly. Since the goal is for players to play in college within Head First, then for us, our goal is to connect players with colleges. Showcases and camps are the main way that people get exposed to colleges. We had a player who recently, I know, who talked with another parent who was like, well, we don't know what to do with high school or not playing high school, but if he doesn't play high school, how's he gonna get seen for college? What's the punchline of that? Anybody know? You don't get seen in high school. Like, that's the last place you get seen. In other words, UC Davis is not walking up to the JV field at Cal High to watch Cal High versus Miramonte randomly and looking for talent. Like, it's not ever going to happen. So even at the varsity level, during the high school season, the college is playing. So each practice at college is the 7th game of the World Series, and they're trying to win the national championship. It's a big deal. Every practice for the college program. So they wouldn't take off a practice unless there was highly specific reasons that they would go to a high school program with a player they've already recruited, that they already have a relationship with for the purpose of commitment. So their schools aren't wandering to college campuses to watch players. Even if they did, at most it would be a school that's going to watch someone on that field, and you happen to be on the same field in front of that person. Again, for us, we have many opportunities for college exposure. It's purposeful, and it's been building over a long period of time. So we had 4 different college showcase events last summer. We're going to have those 4, the college showcase training. It's on college fields where there'll be some college coaches. The purpose is not college exposure. For the January showcase training, it just becomes a byproduct, which is the same as tryouts. The tryout, the reason we have college recruiters at tryouts is I look and I go, if that's the goal of our players, even young players, you don't know it's your goal yet, but I do, or I have that goal for you, and I go, bunch of players at the same place at the same time, and they're Head First players where my goal is for them to go play college baseball, I should have college recruiters come. And the college, our tryouts acted more like a showcase than it did a tryout. That wasn't the point. I was very pleased with how it turned out. The point was for it to just be a tryout, but it really operated more like a college showcase event, and there was college exposure included. So again,
hey Mario.
Yep.
You're not filming anymore.
I'm sorry?
You're not filming anymore. Something happened on your camera. I can't read it, but it's not filming.
Thank you. So we're going to move right along. I said low battery. So this is worth throwing up there. We had 30 colleges come in last year. So last year alone, again, some schools you may have never heard of, which is great. There were 50 different coaches from these different schools. And again, this is just who came to, this is not including our players who went off the schools to get exposure, but this is somebody saying, I'm going to do nothing but stay within Head First and do, I'm not recommending that, I'm not encouraging that you would do that in the long run, but it means on the front side, as you go up, you understand, oh shoot, so in the long run, I'm going to be in front of schools as I go up through the system, and the answer is yes. The lines of communication. Parents should always contact their coach first. If not, then they would go to their team coordinator, which handles any team or game or scheduling information or weekly information of who's available and who's not. Hopefully more of you are available this year than last year. Monica Caltagirone runs admin, and she answers questions and does uniform orders, answers general questions. She's a very good resource on answering questions for you guys. My brother Michael is finance, so any finance-related question goes to Michael. Jimmy Moyle, Gamers, Head First, Blackhawks, Berkovich Showcase teams. By the way, the oldest Gamers team, which is going to be 17U, projects to be 17U, will be a showcase team. The oldest Blackhawks team, which is a 16U, is a showcase team. Which we did that last year with the Blackhawks, and the team was a very talented 16U team. So we're repeating that again this year, where the Blackhawks. So again, the Berkovich side of it, it's the Berkovich Blackhawks, the Berkovich Gamers. The Berkovich denotes that it's a showcase team. Showcase team, again, meaning you are in the individual showcase. I'm going to handle the teams that George and I are running. George handles tournaments and practice scheduling. He handles travel and uniform distribution. He also handles team pages, which I'll be talking about in a moment. Kirikubby is a new payment system. It's used in many schools and childcare businesses, user-friendly. It was recommended to us from parents who use it and said it's like, you guys should absolutely do this. So for my brother looking into it, he decided, yes, this is going to simplify the process on all sides. You're going to be able to register using bank account or credit card info, get invoices, view your account, pay your uniforms, all of that stuff through Kirikubby. The total for each program, important for you guys to know because it's different than the 14U or 8th grade experience. It's broken up over 6 months from February through July. The payment covers the summer and fall. So again, the payment begins prior to the summer or fall. So there's like the months of paying are not congruent with the months of playing. So a lot of it is paid on the front side in order to plan for the summer. This is an estimate of what, actually this is what the actual costs are. So there's a base team. The pitcher-only model, we say it's 50% of the, it's basically a pitcher-only is half off. When you're as young as you guys, it's not super relevant for most of you, but it's a direction for most of us in baseball. So the pitcher-only is half off. It's not precisely half for any of the people great in arithmetic and can figure out that it's not half of that because there are Kirikubby costs that are different for each model. So the fall practices is a different offering that we didn't have in the past. There are other offerings that we have, but the price is not going up. So the price is staying the same. The only reason there's any increase in price is because of the Kirikubby, which carries its own cost. The showcase team is more than the base team. Again, the number is 400 more, and that's because there are 2 different individual showcase events, both of which are $200 expenses that are plugged in on the front side of the showcase team cost. Showcase team PO cost is half of that. Senior team, not relevant to you guys, but that's what it costs for the senior to play, which is summer only, and they're in showcase team mode. And then there's the PO. Your $200 deposit is going to be applied to the overall annual program cost. The seasons and schedules. It says June and July. Sometimes we get an email because we start the last weekend of May, or a tournament based on the schedule and logistics. You play in the first weekend of August, and someone says, no. Technically, you said June and July. So I'm going to qualify that by saying this is loosely June and July. So it could include the last week of May or the front side of August, depending on schedule. We try not to, but sometimes there's only so many weeks of the summer that you can schedule events, and a lot of them get taken up or travel by coaches or different things. So in general, there's 5 events or tournaments. The showcase teams will include an individual showcase as a 6th paid event. By the way, the showcase teams have the privilege of having to pay and being incorporated into the showcase, whether they go or not. If you're not on a showcase team, you still have the option of going to the showcase. It just means you a la carte it. It just means you choose to go and you pay for it by event, where the showcase teams don't have a choice. I guess they have a choice to not go, but they've already paid for the event, so they should go. So again, a showcase team gets a 6th tournament, but they're paying a little more, so they're paying for the tournament. At least one travel tourney is in the summer. It's covered in your tuition. Examples are SoCal and Reno, or other things if teams, or as we project and kind of get into what the teams are and new opportunities come, and we start pitching it out there and see where you guys might want to travel in the summer. 2 practices per week, 1 indoor and 1 outdoor. Again, that's new, the addition of an outdoor workout in the September and October months while we still have fields. There's 5 events also in the summer, so there's 5 events in the fall. 5 in the summer, 5 in the fall. We stop playing around Thanksgiving time, before Thanksgiving, so it's a hybrid. It's not the whole month of November because we stop 1 week or a week early. Team pages, this is the creation of Georgia's, which has simplified and streamlined the process of having the information for uniforms, for the stuff that you need from George as parts of your uniform, stuff that you need from West Coast, your team practice schedule, also your team event schedule, and then coaches' information. So he creates an individualized team page for each of your teams so that you can, instead of sorting through and looking for all the information in different places, you would just go to one place where the information from your team is housed. BBF Banquet is definitely worth communicating to you guys. It's the 5th annual for us. The Berkovich Baseball Foundation it's a foundation. It doesn't really directly have to do with Berkovich, not the current Berkovich teams, but it does the history of the Berkovich family who helped a lot of people to play baseball who had financial hardship, and that's the nonprofit was created for that same reason. The 2020 event is going to be on Friday the 7th at Blackhawk Auto Museum. Who's been to the Blackhawk Auto Museum? A lot of people. Okay. I was there a long time ago, and I go by there all the time. I'm excited just to go there and humbled by the fact that we're going to have it there. Has anybody been to an event there? An actual event? Okay. I never have, so I'm excited to be able to go there. We'd love to see you guys there as a guest. Otherwise, if you have access to any kind of raffle or auction item, a cabin, vacation home, people in the past have had creative, like one guy a couple of years ago was part of the Coast Guard, and he said, Mario, would you guys like a day out on a yacht, like a day out for 6, including food on a yacht in the Monterey Bay? I was like, yeah, like, we would never have known. You can put it out there, and he is part of the Coast Guard. So I mean, just there's stuff, there's opportunities and unique things that come up there that make it a fun event, and also end up fundraising for the people who have hardship. Tickets are also on sale for that through the BBF site. The what's next, this is the final slide. In order, what you guys would end up doing is registering. It starts with registering for January and spring training. So it starts with us knowing like who are we considering on the different teams. So that's the registration process. Over the month of January, we're doing evaluations, and we get to see the performance. And again, things change at your level too. Like, if I made the teams right now and I had you in a certain position, there's no guarantee that even in a month from now you're going to play that position anymore. Things change that quickly. Or we create teams, and then the guy goes to high school and he goes, I'm a pitcher only in high school. I don't hit anymore. And we're like, you rake. Like, you're a part of the offensive lineup. The team's semi-built with you in mind having a big role. Yeah, I gave my bat away though because my high school coach, my JV high school coach, doesn't think I can hit, so I don't hit anymore. And what happens, confidence went all down, they don't want to do it anymore, and it's understandable, we get it, but it's hard for us to predict that kind of thing in creating teams. So the more information and more data we can gather, the better in terms of you guys having solid and balanced teams. So registering for January spring training is the first one, then attending January spring training to improve as a player and as a showcase player, and also in terms of evaluation. And again, we start figuring out, like, you think you're a third baseman, and we go, there's no way you can play that side of the diamond at this level. At 14U at work or 15U at work, at this level, there are 3 shortstops, and 2 of them are going to be a third over you. You're now a first baseman. And starting to figure out where you end up, important, very important stuff. As you get older, you have fewer positions and you become more specialized. When you're younger, you're the jack of all trades. In the older, you have a position, and really in the long run, you're a pitcher only, because it's that hard to hit in baseball. Unless you still can hold on to up defensive position as well, which means you have to really be able to hit, and it's trying to figure out which defensive position. So again, your age, it's still more broad, tons of opportunity. Each year, it gets a little more narrow, and each more competitive team creates less opportunity for multiple positions for you guys. After January, again, there's the option for people not playing in January. So there's some compelling reasons on why people can't play in January. A player emailed me and said, Mario, I can't make the meeting, can't make January. I'd love to have a discussion with you about which team. No, the discussion is go to January. That's it. Otherwise, the discussion is as you choose not to do January, there's really not a lot of discussion. You're going to be placed where you're placed, and unless you're that compelling. And if you're that compelling, then we can figure it out. In other words, if your stock won't move that much, but otherwise, as you don't do January, it'd be the equivalent of a high school coach. I'm not going to go to high school tryouts, but I want to be on the team, and I want to be a starter in my primary position. But I'm not going to attend tryouts or go through the process of evaluation or like whatever the coaches need to do to figure out their team. It's not realistic. In our case, are we going to have players that don't do January? Absolutely. Will they have preference in teams and all of that? The preference that you get is by performing over and over again, showing what you can do and placing yourselves. And then for Jimmy Moyle and I, we end up figuring out where guys go, and it doesn't become that hard when we can see them on the field and see them in projectable positions. So we'll go over more of that in a minute. But again, many of the upper division, so a fifth of the upper division, we haven't met yet. We're going to meet during the course of the spring. So the teams aren't going to be finalized in January, but that's the huge leap that we take toward creating the teams. And we use February, this high school spring, to get more players in to finalize the rosters on these teams. After receiving replacement, again, as offers go out, even if I had all the data right now, I couldn't make all the teams because I would need to see you guys more. I could pencil it, but I'd be wrong. So I would still say I need to see them more to figure it out, because I can go, okay, I think these guys catch. I think these are middle guys. I think, and then a guy goes, Coach, I don't pitch anymore. Or a guy goes, Coach, I'm a really good pitcher now, but I didn't pitch last year. This stuff happens, again, really quickly. So that's the need for the evaluation process, which takes more time. Even then, the offers start going out in January. And then we start heavy month, trickling in January. Heavier month becomes February. And then we'd love to have rosters filled and just plug in some last minute guys over the spring season. You commit and register your 2020 head first team. This is after you have the offer of specifically what team you would be on, and then you begin plans for your summer and fall of 2020 on your new team. We can hit the camera now. You can hit stop. Questions from you guys?